Hello and welcome back again to That Tracks F1 podcast with me, your host Jodie. We've got something a little bit different for you today. We're having a little bit of a bash at some driver ratings, and I'm not doing them on my own. I have my eldest son Cameron here, who's going to do the driver ratings alongside me.
I'm going to argue with you about all of them, yeah.
Yes, that's usual.
Hi, I'm Cameron. I'm known online in certain circles as a BBUK. That's probably not that relevant to anybody listening to this, but hey, I'm going to plug myself while I'm here. I've been a fan of F1 effectively since I was a very young boy because I used to watch my mum go marshalling. In fact, I think I ended up in the pit lane at a Silverstone Grand Prix at some point because...
I think it was a test session, yeah.
Purely because you were marshalling. So shout outs to my picture with the now late Alex Zanardi.
Yeah, I did touch on that on a previous episode about how lovely he was to you.
Yeah, it was lovely seeing the reactions from people on, I think, what was it happening? It was not Le Mans, Nordschleife, 24 hours.
Yeah.
There was a lot of dedications.
Yeah, I think he meant a lot to a lot of people, didn't he?
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so driver ratings. Shall we start near the back of the grid, I guess? Alonso.
Starting with the Aston Martins.
Starting with the Aston Martins, yes. So my rating for Alonso is a 4 out of 10. And I think I've been a little bit generous, to be honest. I kind of ummed and ahed between a 3 and a 4. And I gave him a 4. Well, I found it really difficult between the two drivers because it's the first time he's been out qualified by Stroll, but he qualified absolutely dead last, ended up starting from the pit lane, was dragging along at the back, and went out on lap 40 with a DNF. So I gave him quite a generous 4, I think.
That's interesting.
Okay.
Interested that you think 4 is generous because I have given him a 5.
Oh.
Yeah. He was out qualified by Lance Stroll, but somehow Aston Martin have ended up in dead last already. When, the first race, the Cadillacs were a second behind them, and now it's a good result if the Aston Martin finishes ahead of the Cadillacs. The car's a dog. But yeah, Fernando's qualifying was poorer, not one of his best, and his race was fairly anonymous. But I just don't see him really extracting a ton more out of that car or really having the opportunity to display anything. They were literally a second behind the Cadillacs in qualifying. But yeah, he was out qualified by his teammate. That's really the only thing you can compare the two to, which is a slight spoiler for my rating for Lance Stroll.
Go on then. What have you given Lance?
Given Lance a 6.
Oh my life. We are not agreeing.
Yeah. Well, this is a slightly more difficult one because really Lance had no race. He was just gone. I can't remember when it was, but it was 10 laps or so, something like that into the race.
Yeah, lap 6, I believe.
There you go.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it took, 45 races in a row for Lance to finally out-qualify him, and I think it was 0.0 something, but...
Yeah.
That's
it
really
wasn't
all
a big margin.
No, it's really all you've got to rate him on. So it's probably going to be the best race of the season for him, and he did 6 laps. 6 out of 10 for Lance.
Oh gosh, I feel really, really bad now because I ummed and ahed again, but I gave Lance a 3 out of 10.
You rated him below Alonso.
I rated him below Alonso, even though he beat him in qualifying.
That's pretty harsh.
It's pretty harsh, but still,
because he didn't do anything else.
Yeah, I guess I have been kind of harsh. He had no 3rd or 4th gear for 2 laps before he actually went out on lap 6. And the qualifying was a good thing. That was a good thing. But he did his classic thing in the free practice sessions of just getting in everybody's way. I know that's not necessarily just down to him. That's down to his race engineer. Somebody should be telling him somebody's coming up behind you. But he does seem to be very regularly being... I can't remember who it was in one of the free practice sessions this weekend just gone and said, because he impeded them and they went, Stroll as usual. So that's probably why, I guess.
I think racing him below Alonso, though. Below Alonso's harsh.
Yeah, maybe I've been a bit harsh on both of them there, maybe.
And you could argue, I think you can argue the Alonso 4 to 5, but Stroll below seems mean.
All right. I'm going to change it. I'm going to give Stroll a 4. I'm crossing it out now. Stroll gets a 4. I'll give him a 4.
I think I swayed you there.
Yeah, you did, yeah. On to the Cadillacs now. I've mentioned this before on the podcast, but prior to the season, we had a little bet, didn't we? Because I said Bottas is going to wipe the floor with Perez, and you said...
I had the smuggest look on my face right now because I said my boy Perez, well, up until the later stages of his Red Bull career, was quite a fan of his. And, more importantly, I really, and I'm probably going to get crucified for this, but I don't care because it's not my podcast.
Thanks.
I really don't rate Bottas. Yeah, I mean, I really rate Sergio, but I think Bottas has always been a bit of a second driver. Really, really don't rate him.
Shocking.
And barring one race, I'm doing pretty well on that one.
You are, and I think you have to agree. I did say to you at the weekend that I'm very much warming to Perez, and I think I concede this fight. Only so many rounds
That's
into
a
the
death knell now,
season.
isn't it?
Yeah, sorry, Valtteri. Valtteri-wise, I scored him a 3 out of 10. In quali, he qualified 20th, and then he DNF'd on lap 17. Now, his DNF wasn't his fault, so maybe the 3 again is a bit harsh. It wasn't his fault. It was precautionary because there was an overheating issue. Again, with the Cadillacs. So, yeah, but there's just nothing, is there? There's nothing going on. He's out-qualified by his teammate again. He's limping around at the back. It looks like he's just lost the will to live, really.
Well, I don't think it's too harsh because I've also given him a 3 out of 10.
Oh, that's something.
I think it's a little telling that people have referred to this as one of his better weekends this season, and he's still a quarter of a second behind Sergio in qualifying, which is a lot of what you're going to rate these back two teams on, really, is just a comparison to the teammates. Fairly anonymous race, nothing really bad to look at. The retirement's through no fault of his own. But yeah, you really can only compare on pace, and Sergio had the mark of him again.
Absolutely.
Which probably brings me on to the Sergio Perez rating, which is, well, for me, I've gone for a 5 out of 10 this week. It wasn't Sergio's best weekend, had the mark of Bottas again, but really, it's sort of anonymous. His race was, he finished 14th out of, was it 15 classified finishers?
Yeah.
And just, he's shown better. I think maybe a victim of his own success. I think it was fine, which is why I can sound a little bit harsh on my ratings, I think, because a 5 out of 10 is not a bad rating to me. You've gone out and you've done, to me, that's 5 out of 10. You've gone out and you've done what you needed to do.
Yeah.
You haven't really shown anything special, but nobody's going to criticize you for it. And yeah, I think Sergio just did his job this weekend.
Yeah. I under that, and you've just watched me sitting here now, still in between a 3 or a 4 out of 10 for Perez.
That's harsh.
I know, that's harsh. And when I heard you did a 5, I'm swayed a bit towards the 4.
You cannot give him the same score as Valtteri.
He only qualified one place above, and he finished, but he was 3 laps down.
But that's the pace of the Cadillac. That's through no fault of his own.
We've
currently got Aston Martin's a second later Cadillac, a second later Formula 1.5.
Yeah. All right, we will leave Perez with a 4 out of 10 then. I will rate him higher than Bottas as much as it galls me because I'm losing that fight. Well, yeah.
Notice that I haven't had to change any of my ratings yet. I've convinced you to change it too.
No, I'm going to stick with what I think now. You're not swaying me anymore. Right. Audi. Let's look at the Audis. And we have got Nico Hülkenberg. And I'm sure you've seen the unluckiest man in Formula One.
If you didn't bring it up, I was literally going to give him the honorary mention for possibly the unluckiest retirement I've ever heard of.
Yes,
as a pebble threaded the needle through his nose to switch off the kill everything button.
This I found really quite fascinating because it took me a while to figure out how this had happened. Because as a marshal, when we go out and we pull either the neutral or the extinguisher, which is also the kill switch, it's a pull. It is literally a pull lever.
It's not a button.
No, the neutral is a push button. But
it's like almost like a dead switch.
It's a dead switch, but it's a pull. So I was very confused as to how a bit of gravel had done that until I realised it'd gone in through the nose cone and hit something.
That's still even more. I was envisioning a piece of gravel going through the nose cone and hitting a button. I think hitting the inside of a handle to pull it out is even worse.
Yeah, it's an absolute freak happening, which was an absolute shame. He qualified 9th. Oh, I hadn't given him his rating, have I?
No, you probably didn't say the number.
I got all excited. I've actually given Hülkenberg an 8 out of 10 this weekend. He qualified 9th, which was brilliant. Throughout the race, he kept the Alpines behind, which is no mean feat. Well, at least for a while anyway, until there was the swap with the Alpine drivers. That DNF on lap 28 was really, really unlucky because I think that would have been some solid points for Nico this weekend.
Well, funnily enough, I've given him an 8 out of 10 as well.
Well, we agree.
We are agreeing. Yeah, I think just a very, very solid performance from Hülkenberg this week. Sort of in that frustrating Hülkenberg way where we go 6, 7, 8 races with him being completely anonymous and then he just sort of remembers who he is.
Yeah.
And yeah, this week he looked like he was on fire. I think potentially was looking at a finish, 8th, 7th, possibly best of the rest, and that really would have been. Yeah, he's sort of spoiled through no fault of his own out of the extra couple of rating points on me purely out of sheer dumb luck.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a really, really good weekend from Nika.
Absolutely.
Gabby Bortoletto, I've gone for a 6 out of 10. And you've just pulled the face, so that's going to be fun. I've gone for a 6. So I think this was actually borderline between a 5 and a 6 for me. He was kind of doing what he needed to do, but no more. His qualifying was okay. His race was okay. The Audi's a little bit of a dog. I know I talked earlier about we've got Formula Cadillac, we got Formula Aston Martin, Formula Cadillac, Formula 1.5, and then the top 4 teams.
Mm-hmm.
Audi's definitely at the back of Formula 1.5.
Yeah.
They just seem to. It was sort of the Haas thing to show up with a decent car at the start and then never really get anywhere. And Audi seemed to have overtaken that mantle. I think Gabby's doing as best as he can in a fairly underperforming car, but there was just no real opportunity to show anything this week.
I disagree slightly. I mean, I clearly disagree quite a bit because I've given him a 4 out of 10.
Ooh.
Now, I love Bortoletto. I think he's great. He qualified 12th, which wasn't terrible. Not bad at all. Finished 11th, but what you've got to remember about that 11th place finish is how many people had gone out ahead of him.
2.
So realistically, he would have finished 13th.
That's only 1 place below where he started.
It is, but I think he made an awful lot of mistakes in free practice. He never really looked comfortable all weekend. I was surprised he qualified as well as he did. And he just kind of turned up, looked a bit uncomfortable all weekend. And what made it worse was obviously Hulkenberg putting in such a good performance.
He does look bad compared to Hulkenberg.
Yeah. I've definitely seen Gabby drive better. It almost looked a little bit like he didn't want to be there this weekend.
I could be swayed to say between a 5 and a 6, but I gave him the benefit of the doubt a little bit, I think.
You've been a lot kinder than me.
Only on that one.
Right. Moving on to the Hasses. And looking at Esteban Ocon. Now, Esteban qualified 17th and finished in 13th, but he was 2 laps down. And again, 13th flatters him a bit because...
You haven't given us your score.
I've done it again. It's because I don't really want to, because I quite like Ocon as well, so I feel mean, but this is a 3 out of 10, and it's weighing me, because I don't know what's going on with Esteban at the minute. I mean, it's not just Esteban. I think Haas have taken a bit of a backward step from the beginning of the season when they were really on it, particularly Behrman was doing extremely well, and they both just look like they're struggling, which is a bit of a Haas classic. Show up, look great, and then just die off. But Ocon especially just does not seem to be getting to grips with this car at all. I don't know what's going on with him. And the 13th place was 2 laps down. And I know there's been a lot of paddock gossip about him not keeping his drive. And I think it'd be a real shame for him to go. But he's not had a weekend really where he's really shown up.
It's not justifying
the
place in a way, no. Well, you won't need to be swayed because I've also given him a 3 out of 10.
Oh, well, there we go.
Yeah, just really once again following the trend of being outshone by Behrman. Yeah. Behrman didn't even have that good of a result, but still compared to Ocon was significantly better. Yeah, there's no real one big mistake to point out here. Ocon's just not getting the pace out of the car that's available. It's not much, but you can see in the hands of Ocon how well it can be done. In the hands of Behrman how well it can be done.
I knew what you meant.
Brings us on to the Behrman racing. I've gone for a 6 out of 10, and we've got another face pull.
Oh no, I'm just feeling mean again.
Yeah, I mean, really just extracted as much as he could out of a somewhat languishing Haas. They're better than the Audis, but that's sort of it. He finished, was it 11th? Not in the points, 11th, 12th?
Was he classified because he
retired, didn't he? But there was no fault of his own.
Yeah, but he'd done over 90% race distance, so he would have been
he was one of the people that finished ahead of Albon somehow, despite not being in the race for a quarter of it.
Sometimes it's mysterious, isn't it?
Yeah. Very rare not classified for Albon coming up. Anyway, we'll talk about Williams later. But yeah, Behrman, I quite rate Behrman in general. And I think this is another weekend where I don't think he's really gone above and beyond, but I think he's got as good of performance as he could have out of that Haas.
Well, again, maybe I've been a bit mean then because I've given him a 4 out of 10, which, is kind of a bit mean. He qualified 15th, which is well down, still 2 places in front of his teammate.
the thing with the qualifying, who do you expect him to be beyond where
Well,
we got?
he is consistently beating Ocon, so.
But I mean, more if you wanted more out of him out of the qualifying, I don't think there's anybody he can beat in that house that he
No,
didn't already beat with the
potentially.
15.
And I think this weekend they both struggled. I think the whole team struggled this weekend. And as I said, he DNF'd a few laps from the end, but he didn't really look to be doing anything particularly spectacular. And I've had loads of praise for Behrman. I think Behrman's absolutely brilliant. So I just thought by Behrman's standards, it was just a bit of a lacklustre weekend, really. Now, moving on to Williams. And Williams was, of course, the team that I predicted as the pull over and park the last weekend, and I got that one right. Carlos Sainz, I've given Carlos a 5 out of 10. He qualified 16th, and yes, he finished 12th, but again, he benefited from other people up above him going out. So it wasn't really 12th, and he was a full 2 laps down. And I think maybe 5 is a little bit mean because I don't think really it could do an awful lot more with that car this weekend other than take it out the back and shoot it and put it out its misery. Because
we are struggling Williams fans right now.
We are struggling Williams fans. We're trying to keep it together. We're trying
positive mental mindset.
Yes, we're trying to have faith in James Vowles because we love James Vowles, but I can feel the question marks starting to stack up.
Yeah.
I feel for Carlos, I really do. I know when he made the decision to move to Williams, it was between Alpine and Williams, and last year it looked like Williams was the right choice. This year it looks like Alpine would have been a better choice. There was other teams interested in him. I think he'll stay. I think he's there for the long haul, but it's just not good this season.
Well, we are continuing a trend here because I think you've been a little bit harsh.
Oh.
This was one of the ones I really couldn't settle between a 6 and a 7. I went with a 6 in the end. I think a bit like Behrman, he's not getting anything more out of that car. I don't think he's beating anybody that he didn't beat. I don't think he's qualifying much higher up than he did. He got it out of Q2 when his teammate didn't.
True.
Into Q2, sorry. And yeah, I mean, maybe I'm a bit biased because I do like Sainz, but I really do think it's about as good as you can get. Not outstanding by any means. I don't think he put that car places where he doesn't deserve to be. I think he's about exactly where it should be. But that's about it.
Yeah.
So 6 out of 10 from me, which moves us on to the other Williams of Alex Albon. This is a weird one. This is a really
difficult
weird one.
To grade.
I could see me being a lot harsher here than you, potentially, because I've gone for a 3 out of 10.
Oh, yeah.
His quali was terrible.
Yeah.
Basically. There's not a lot to rank him on in his race. It was anonymous and then very unlucky, through no fault of his own. The T-cam. Have you seen the footage of it wobble?
Yeah, and that's something that they will insist is fixed there and then because it's dangerous if it comes off.
It is dangerous, yeah.
Dangerous.
It's not an excuse. It's damn unlucky, but it's not. It's like when cars tangle. It might not be your fault that somebody's broken your wheel off, but if it's hanging off, it's dangerous.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, the race was sort of a nothing testing session again. But his qualifying, he was literally outside of. I talked earlier about like Formula 1.5, this group of cars that are ahead of the Cadillacs and the Aston Martins, but behind the top 4. He was literally the worst qualifier out of that group.
Yeah.
So he was beaten on merit by every Haas, his teammate. The Alpines and the V-Carbs, I think we're always going to beat the Williams here. But the Haas's, the Audis, and his teammate. So I think, not the best weekend for Albon again. A bit of a running trend this season.
Yeah.
And towards the end of last season as well.
Absolutely, yeah. You're right, I have been a little bit kinder to Alex. And I almost gave him the same score as Sainz, which sounds absolutely crazy. Stay with me. I did decide on a 4 out of 10.
Okay.
Right. And
I can accept a 4.
I've got reasons. Now, I know he qualified badly and behind Sainz, and I know that he did nothing particularly great in the race. But in free practice, he literally said, I can't remember the full quote, but he said, I have never ever in all my racing career driven a car so disconnected. And I thought that was an interesting term to use, disconnected. And that for me, that brings up a mental picture that I just think that's impossible to drive. If nothing is connected to what it's supposed to be and nothing's working together and in harmony, how are you supposed to drive it?
The way Sainz does.
But they'll have different setups, won't they? And maybe there's, and I'm sorry, Alex, you probably won't appreciate this, but there's a little bit of I felt sorry for him as well, because this was the race where he became the Williams driver that's done the most races for Williams. He's beaten Nigel Mansell's record now. And that should have been something, it would have just been nice for him to have had a better weekend. But yeah, obviously he came back out 8 laps down, finished 11 laps down. Hopefully though, they've gleaned some good data from that, because obviously Barcelona's the test track. So it was a good move to send him back out and try and glean some data. But I do think some of the problem still is it's just too heavy. It's overweight.
Yeah, I mean, they just started the season on the back foot, the whole team. We were talking earlier off the podcast about how Alpine and Williams seem to have this one good season, one bad season in reverse of each other.
Yeah.
Last season it was Williams had a good one, Alpine had a shocker, and once again they've switched around.
Yeah, it does seem to follow that pattern. So, moving on now to the Racing Bulls and looking at Arvid Lindblad. Now, you know, I am a bit of a fan of Arvid Lindblad. I think he's come in with an absolutely great attitude and bags of talent. So I think it was a decent weekend, but I've given him an 8 out of 10. He qualified 11th and officially finished 9th. But he did go up a place because Colapinto got that 5-second penalty for not slowing under yellows. So for me, it's a bit, I kind of...
Can I just double check?
What?
Arvid Lindblad, you've given an 8 out of 10.
Yes, I've given Arvid Lindblad an 8 out of 10.
Not Liam Lawson.
Hang on.
But I'm just double checking you haven't mixed these up.
No, I'm not mixing them up. No,
sorry,
no.
I'll let you
go. Yeah, I've given him an 8 out of 10. I still think it was a really decent performance. It was unlucky in qualifying. I think he missed out on quali 3 by the tiniest of margins. And he looked quite on it this weekend. And yeah, I think he deserves an 8 out of 10. I think he did really, really well. Yes, beaten by his teammate, but we are talking about a total rookie. So yeah, I rate Lindblad. And you're looking at me like absolutely disgusted, huh?
This is about to be your podcast Armageddon here.
Oh no!
Because I have rated Arvid Lindblad a 5 out of 10.
That's outrageous.
Possibly a victim of his own success, because again, he's had quite a stonking start to the season for a rookie. But yeah, just completely outshone by Liam and sort of anonymous again. He didn't really make any significant places in the race, benefited from the people retiring. Yes, possibly slightly unlucky with how the banding of times worked out, but Liam got the car into Q3 and Lindblad didn't. I don't really give too much stock into the rookie thing. I think he's established himself quite quickly, which might be the victim, why he's a victim of his own success. But yeah, he's had better weekends. So
interesting.
Yeah, I mean, any counterpoints to defend your boy?
I'm on the spot. No, I just thought it was another good, solid weekend. I'm liking the momentum that he's gathering. I'm liking the fact that I felt he was a little bit unlucky in qualifying. I do think it is an 8. You know, it's not. We're not talking a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10. It is an 8. He has lost points for maybe he could have done a little bit more, and he was still beaten by his teammate.
He also gained points because of Colapinto's penalty on the road. He finished.
Yeah, I did say that he went up 1 because of Colapinto's 5-second penalty. But I still think it was a decent showing. I'm liking his momentum.
Oh, I mean, I quite like the guy. Yeah, I think I do rate him as a racer. I just think this weekend was just a touch anonymous.
Oh, okay.
That's going to take me on to my Liam Lawson rating. This is why I asked you why you'd swap them around, because I rated Liam Lawson 8 out of 10.
Oh, interesting.
He's a bit of a master of these very, very quiet, good results.
Yeah.
I think he maximised what he was going to get out of the V-carb, really. There's an argument to be made that he could have done better against the Alpines, but I think the result he's gotten again is another good, quiet result.
Yeah.
He's a driver that seems to have swings up and down quite a lot. We'll have a few races where he's sort of not doing that well and probably ends up in a fist fight with Sergio Perez again. But yeah, we're on a little bit of run of form again for Liam, I think. Just a good few races, some nice points again for V-carb.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I actually gave Lawson a 9 out of 10.
Yeah, I can see it.
I thought it was a really, really good performance. Now, you'll know, because you know me, that initially I was not a fan of Liam Lawson. I took a bit of a dislike to him. I didn't particularly like the attitude he arrived with.
I think in hindsight, it was a bit of a victim. He was a bit of a victim of the Red Bull machine.
Yeah.
In the general machine of Red Bull chewing up and spitting out Max Verstappen teammates, and the attitude he went there with.
Yes.
Was interesting.
Yeah. It was definitely confident would be a kind way of putting it. Absolutely confident.
Naive as well.
Yes, naive. So yeah, it's taken me a little while to warm to Liam, but I actually have warmed to Liam quite a bit. And I did feel absolutely sorry for him for what happened at Red Bull. I don't think they gave him a fair crack of the whip. And I think when he first went back to racing bulls, he struggled again for a while to get back in his groove. But now, apart from being sometimes a little bit too over aggressive and not quite thinking things through, I think he's still got a lot more to achieve, but I feel like he's improving all the time. And this weekend, qualified 8, yes, finished 8th. And yes, that was again a benefit of a couple of people going off. And he was a lap down, which is where he loses the mark for me. But a really decent qualifying and, like you say, a pretty decent showing again.
Yeah. Nah, I could be swayed as high as a 9. I don't think I say that. I think there was a fight to be had with Alpine if he was really on his game.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, true.
Yeah, certainly a good weekend for the V-Carbs again.
Yeah.
After the massive success of Monaco for them. Was it 5th and 6th?
Yeah, double points again. So can't be bad to that. But yes, moving on to the Alpines and looking at Pierre Gasly, I've given Pierre a 9 out of 10. Now, I thought it was going to be a bad weekend for Alpine initially because of where they both qualified. Pierre was actually out-qualified by Franco and qualified in 14th. And again, finished 7th and yes, again, gained from some of the DNFs. But I just think, again, what an absolutely solid drive. The impression I get from Gasly all of the time that he's in that car is that he is giving 110% all of the time. He never gives up. He's always going for it.
Hungry.
Yeah, all the time. And just really relishing every opportunity that he's getting. And I just thought that was another absolutely brilliant drive from Gasly and fully deserving of the 9 out of 10. I say really, I've only knocked him a point off because of the poor qualifying.
Well, I'm looking at my notes at the moment, and I can see that at one point I wrote an 8, and then I crossed it out for a 7.
Oh dear, we went the wrong
way
way there.
Swayed me.
Oh, okay.
Because I do have amazing race, and he had an amazing race.
He did.
Yes, his qualifying is meh, but I again out qualified by Colapinto, but I think that's more in Colapinto's benefit. That's more of a compliment to Colapinto than it is a negative on Gasly now.
Yeah.
I feel like Colapinto, we'll get to Colapinto anyway, but I feel like he's getting a lot more comfortable in that car finally.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I'm going to go with an 8. I think you convinced me a bit.
Yay!
Best of the rest again for probably the 3rd race on the bounce of this. Oh, wow.
Well,
No,
he's just having a great season.
Yeah, you got 3rd, didn't you, in Monaco? Best
Eventually.
of a lot of them. Yeah. Yeah, Gasly's a great midfield merchant.
Yeah. Do you think he could ever actually be more? Do you think, given a top drive, that he could push for a championship?
I think he could. If I'm going to be brutally honest, I think he will shine the best in a midfield car. There was, because he was in Red Bull as a staffing teammate, wasn't he?
Chewed up and spat out.
Joined the long list. Yeah, I could see him doing well. If you imagine, you don't have to imagine it's happening. Where the McLarens are right now, in that sort of awkward, we can kind of compete maybe for a podium spot. I could see him doing fantastically in that kind of car.
Yeah.
I think if you plonked him into a Mercedes right now, he would just be outshone by whatever other teammate he was with.
Yeah,
I'll be
there
honest.
would definitely have to be a learning curve there,
Yeah.
definitely.
It's kind of a shame in a way. I think, yes, if you ask me, does he deserve a top drive? Yes.
Absolutely.
Do I think he should? For my own entertainment, no, because I would rather see him overperform in a midfield car.
Yeah.
Because I think that is really what he can do.
Absolutely.
And where he shined. And, he just extracts pace from cars that shouldn't. He just gets them in places they shouldn't be.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he did even last year when it was an absolute tractor.
Oh, yeah.
He still managed to drag it.
Multiple points, finishes in a blue dustbin.
Yeah, I think the one thing that stands out for me with Gasly is that ability to show up absolutely every weekend and no matter what happens. I mean, he had a flip, didn't he? A few races back. I can't remember where it was now. Flipped
I remember
over.
he did it, though. With Wilson.
Oh, yeah.
He just picks somebody to have a fight with every time.
Yeah, it seems to. But yeah, he's just the driver that turns up every week and absolutely. And I'm not saying that anybody else doesn't give 110%, but he never seems to have an off day and he never seems to have an off session. He turns up every weekend and he throws everything at it all of the time.
Mm-hmm.
So, right, well, we've finished complimenting Gasly.
Yes. That brings us to the other Alpine. So, Franco Colapinto, And I could see this one being a contentious one, maybe. I have gone for a 6 out of 10.
Yeah, well, I can get on board with that.
This would have been the most comfortable 7, possibly an 8. And then he spoiled it with a penalty again, a needless penalty. Frank has been on a great run of form. I think in the grand scheme of things, it's a blemish, and it has blemished this weekend a bit.
Yeah.
But out-qualified Gasly again. I think the qualifying record between them is like even now. And that's a real compliment. I mean, you just said how much we've glazed Gasly. It's a real compliment to Colapinto's improvements this season. And then a solid race.
Yeah.
To say, Gasly, I think, outperformed. If Gasly had the market on pace, they swapped them around early, and that was the correct call.
Yeah.
When you saw Gasly didn't shoot off into the distance, it wasn't this, he's definitely holding me up, and Gasly was 10 seconds down the road 10 laps later. Colapinto held pace with him, but Gasly was slightly the faster teammate in the Alpine, slightly better over race pace. Colapinto gets good marks for out qualifying him, being competitive there, and mostly keeping his nose clean until the end.
Absolutely. I've gone slightly one better, and I've gone for a 7 out of 10 for Franco. Yeah, finished 10th. I mean, he would have finished higher. He did get that penalty for not slowing for the yellows. And I understand that drivers are human, and I understand that sometimes it's difficult to see, and we can all make a mistake. It's towards the end of the race. But it is so, so, so imperative that you slow for the yellows, because you don't know who or what is on the track. And it can be so, so dangerous. And selfishly, from my point of view, as a marshal, I'd really appreciate it if people slowed under the yellows, because I'm probably on the track. So I kind of can't forgive him for that one a little bit. And I have on my notes, I've got it off Gasly's pace this weekend. Did out qualifying by one place. So on balance, I went for the 7.
Yeah, I think it could be. Well, I'm not going to be swayed, but I don't hate it.
No. Now, moving on to Red Bull. And this one I found really, really difficult. Really difficult.
I did as well.
Because Isaac Hadjar.
Oh, I thought you were going to start with Max.
No, I've actually started with Hadjar, and I've given him a 6 out of 10. It's a bit of a mixed bag, because he had the most. Well, to start with, let's start at the beginning. He had great qualifying. He qualified 6th. He was very, very, very close to Max, and I think he was impressively close to Max. Now, I know the Red Bull is not a great car this year, but he is definitely not as tailed off behind Max as previous teammates has been. He's keeping pace for the most part, but he just had such an absolutely shocking start. Like, what are you doing? Really, really, what are you doing? Now, I may be blaming him unfairly, because as we saw in the last race, not the last race, the one before, Max's car just died on the start. But they knew there was something wrong on the formation lap. Nobody was saying to Isaac that there was anything wrong.
I think Hadjar just had a straight.
I think he just had a really bad start, yeah. So he loses a lot of points for me there. However, he did carve his way through the pack quite effectively. And it was a little bit Verstappen-esque in places. He really got the bit between his teeth. And I was pleased that, and unless I missed any team radio, I kind of expected I'm now going to lose more places, because I'm going to sit here and verbally beat myself up because I've made a mistake. And from what I could see in here, I might be wrong, but from what I could see in here, he didn't. He just got on with the job. So I think that's definitely an improvement. But it was really difficult to mark him, because on the one hand, he lost all these places. But on the other hand, he made a lot of places back very, very effectively. So he finished where he started, basically in 6th. So, yeah, 6 out of 10 for me.
It's sort of like that scenario that was happening. Was it whatever season Red Bull had, whatever season Sergio was in Red Bull, and he would have an absolutely terrible qualifying, start somewhere in like 14th, 15th, and then carve his way through the field every time. And then he'd get driver of the day every time, because they'd just cut across to him, and he'd be, whipping it around the outside of whatever midfield car it was. And everyone's like, oh, Sergio's racing really great. It's like, yeah, but he qualified 15th.
Yeah. And he's in a very fast car.
And he's a very fast car, yeah. I don't disagree with the rating too much. I went with a 5 out of 10.
All right.
I think on balance, just an okay weekend. If I can sit there and go, what should the second Red Bull driver be achieving in a race? And I think he, on average, hit that. His qualifying was good, very close to Max Verstappen's pace, which is rare.
Yeah.
The bad start was bad. The rest of the race was okay, but it was all just a recovery for the mistake made at the start.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like a 6, 7 out of 10 qualifying into a 3, 4 out of 10 race. So it just averages to a 5 out of 10. You did a decent job.
Yeah, I mean, had he not had that bad start, qualifying in sixth where he did, I think he would have finished higher. I think he would have gained a
finished
place.
on the road. He finished sixth.
Yeah,
It was Oscar ahead of him.
maybe it could have been on the cards, but
he would definitely finish closer.
Yeah,
The gap wouldn't have been as much as it was.
Yeah, maybe just closer then, but yeah, definitely.
Yeah, if he hadn't screwed up the start, he would be in that fight.
Yes,
and then we could have had that conversation. Yeah. But he eliminated himself from that fight,
unfortunately.
Which does move us over to the Max Verstappen one that I thought was going to be not the contentious one, but the difficult one here.
Also difficult, to be fair. Yeah. Both were very difficult.
Yeah, it was a weird one for the Red Bulls. I again talked about the top four being a bit of a league of their own, but there was some definite Red Bull with a fourth here for certain out of the top four. So they were sort of both in a bit of an anonymous race. But for Max, I have gone for a 6 out of 10. So I think he was fine.
Yeah.
That's really, to be honest, I can't even give you great examples of anything. We never really saw him on the main coverage. He finished where he started, kept his nose clean.
No, he finished one up on where he started.
With a retirement.
Oh, true. Yeah. Absolutely, yeah.
So pretty much, finished where he would have started.
Where he would have started, yeah.
And just kept his nose clean, drove it around. Didn't really overperform in the way that we would expect Max to.
No.
And I say his qualifying pace wasn't significantly better than his teammate. His race pace wasn't significantly better than his teammate. He just had a good start.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a 5 out of 10. He's achieved a little bit more than the Red Bull, your average Red Bull driver should, but not by much.
No. Yeah, maybe I've been a little bit more generous. I've given him a 7 simply because he did a little bit better than Hadjar, and I gave Hadjar a 6.
Yeah.
So, but in my notes, anonymous is the thing that I put. I don't think...
I'm pointing to the word anonymous in my notes.
Anonymous in my notes, yeah. Finished 4th, 40 seconds off the lead. It's just not what we've come to expect to Max, really, is it? Because...
Considering he was... Well, in qualifying, wasn't there at some point it was looking like he might be challenging for pole?
Yeah, I think he lost
Q2. He was having a
and then he lost it in sector 3. I think it was something went wrong in sector. I believe I might be wrong, but yeah, just not what we've really come to expect from Max. But again, working with a very, very overweight car still, so allegedly.
Yeah, I mean, this weekend the Red Bulls were definitely 4th of the top 4.
Yes, absolutely. So moving on to the top 3 teams now, and going with McLaren. Starting with Oscar Piastri. I've given Oscar a 6, and I do feel like I've actually probably been slightly generous there. He's probably just really lucky because I just really love Oscar and I think he's great. So maybe if I didn't like Oscar quite as much as I did, and I know that shouldn't come into it, he probably would have got a 5. But qualified 7th, which was pretty lacklustre, way off the pace of his teammate this weekend, finished 5th. No real progress made throughout the entire race. Another one completely anonymous, and was basically finished almost a full minute down the road. And it was just, he showed up, he did sort of the minimum of what I was expected of him, and he went home. And I don't know, he just doesn't seem to be gelling with this new generation of cars at all. And I remember pre-season that reading somewhere that they said that the drivers that struggle with that back-end slide will struggle with this new generation of cars. And the 2 drivers they actually named, and this is what I find quite funny, was Oscar Piastri, and I think we are seeing that a bit. Mm-hmm. But the other driver they named was Lewis Hamilton.
Which is funny because
we are not seeing
absolutely
that.
Flourished in this new
he is loving it. But yeah, I just feel like, I keep saying it, I actually had Oscar as my hit the mark for this weekend because I thought he went so well here last year. He's got to get his groove back at some point. We saw that flashing, was it China, where he nearly won the race?
Yeah, China, where he kind of deserved to win the race.
He kind of deserved to win the race.
Yeah.
And I thought, we're going to be off and running again this weekend, and we had a really lacklustre qualifying and then just a bit of a meh finish, really, to the race.
It's kind of funny. I 100% agree with absolutely everything you've said, and because of that, I've rated him 4.
Oh.
Yeah. That McLaren was, and demonstrably so, capable of more.
Yeah.
I don't really think he put too much, he didn't really put a foot wrong in very classic Oscar style. Like, you could probably name the number of actual genuine mistakes Oscar has ever made in his career, number of them on one hand.
Yeah.
And 3 of them were in that Baku race last year. But yeah, just absent.
Yeah. Just didn't show up this weekend at all, really.
I mean, the McLarens were... Well, I mean, we'll get onto his teammate, but massively outshone by his teammate this weekend. Qualifying on paper looks bad because I think he was 3 places down on Lando, and Lando out-qualified both Red Bulls and Oscar out-qualified neither of them. If you actually look at the gap between all 4 of them, it's 0.1.
Yeah,
so
it's
it's
very,
like,
very small.
yeah, the qualifying gap was actually not as bad as it looks.
Yeah.
But yeah, just evaporated in the race.
Yeah.
Wasn't on the back of the Red Bulls at all. When you consider that the Red Bulls weren't on the back of Lando at all, it's just, just anonymous again.
Yeah.
I think 6 is very generous.
Yeah, maybe I've been
Definitely
maybe I've been a bit generous with our Oscar there, but
you could maybe argue a 5.
yeah,
but
potentially. Yeah, can I have a 5.5?
no halves allowed. Because I'll tell you what, you want to talk about halves? I sat here and deliberated between Orlando's score. I sat there and I was like 9, 8, 9, 8,
No,
9.
this
8.
was my easiest score of the weekend.
Interesting. I settled on an 8 for reasons that I will sort of get to later. I can't spoil exactly why. Basically, I can't score him the same score as somebody else I'm going to give a score to.
Okay.
It was a very strong weekend for Lando. Never put a foot wrong. I think the only thing that keeps him from like a 9 for me is that he was looking like he was going to race the Mercedes. There was a point where he was within the overtake window on Antonelli, and it was like, oh, we might actually get a fight for the lead here, especially if those two are going to be tripping over each other. And it sort of evaporated again.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, there's other factors in that. There's tyre wear, running in dirty air. The McLarens hate dirty air.
Yeah, which was supposed to be not such a big thing this year, but does still seem to be having an effect. I mean, it always will to some degree, but
the teams are just always going to find loopholes, aren't they? Find ways to
turn the in-wash into the out-wash. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, another good performance from Lando this year in a string of when the car survives, he really, really puts it in places it probably doesn't deserve to be.
Yeah.
And just really had the mark of Oscar this weekend as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I think I'm about to pass this over to you for you to give him either a 9 or a 10. Well,
I couldn't quite give him a 10, much as I would have liked to have done.
I think that would be a little much.
Yeah, that would be a little bit generous. I gave Lando a 9 out of 10. Qualified 4th, which was decent qualifying, and finished 3rd. Really, the car again this weekend was not good. I think we all kind of expected a little bit with the way that McLaren were talking that this weekend we were going to see a real upturn, that we kind of expected the McLarens to be both right up there, and there was something definitely lacking. Bit up and down in free practice.
Do you know, that's a free practice point as well. Lando was out of the car for free practice 1, wasn't he?
He was, yeah.
And also, there was something in his qualifying as well. Was it Q3? Yeah, the red flag screwed his first lap in Q3.
That's right.
And he still got 4th.
And he still got 4th. That was pretty impressive. Showing. Yeah, and wasn't he? I think he went fastest in free practice too, didn't he? I think he topped the times. Or am I misremembering?
Possibly, yeah.
Not sure on that one. I liked free practice 1 because I like to see who's up and coming, and I do really love it when they actually beat the full-time teammate.
There was somebody,
like Fiona Rowley did.
Yeah.
Beat Piastri.
There was someone else that had a really good showing as well, wasn't there?
Yeah, was it Beganovic? He finished about 8th, I think.
Yeah.
I'm not
going to pretend I know, but yeah, there was a couple, because normally the rookies are just filling up the bottom, not the rookies, but the standings are filling up the bottom of the leaderboard. There's a couple in the top 10.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think a lot of them are coming from F2, aren't there? And these cars are very F2-like this year.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, getting back to Lando, I basically did the best he could with a rubbish car.
Rubbish is a bit hard.
No, it was not great.
It was not great.
No.
It was competing for 3rd.
I think I was just... that is true. Yeah, that is true. I think it was just I expected a lot more from the McLarens this weekend.
Well, that's your fault.
Yeah, I should know not to do that by now. And yes, I was interested in the way Lando reacted to his 3rd. I mean, obviously he celebrated and he smiled, but there was a little bit of... wasn't quite himself, and I think it was... I don't think any driver likes to do the goal hanging, do they? Where it's like, I'm here, I'm in 4th. And really, Lando knows that he got 3rd because Antonelli went out. Yeah. So he's aware of that. But for me, Lando is driving, when the car goes, Lando is driving more consistently and better this year than he did in his championship winning year.
I mean, I fully agree. I think this season, the best driver of the season so far is basically between him and Antonelli. I don't think you could really argue for anybody else.
No, I think they are and completely different.
Yeah, and the scenario is complete. I think you put Lando in that Mercedes this year, nobody would have a chance.
Nobody'd see him for dust.
No.
Absolutely not.
And yeah, other people have said it, but I really do. He does look like the weight's lifted off his shoulders.
Yeah, it just looks a lot more relaxed. And it's flying under a lot of people's radar, I think, just how well he is driving this season, so which is a shame. And onto the Mercedes next, and looking at Kimi Antonelli, I've got some scribbling out because I gave him a score, scribbled it out, gave him a different score, then I went back to my original score, and I've actually given Antonelli a 7 out of 10. Qualified in third, obviously didn't finish. Finally got some of the bad luck, the Mercedes power unit bad luck, and his power unit gave up instead of somebody else's for a change. I did at one point give him a 6 because I think he didn't look on it this weekend at all. He didn't look happy. He didn't look relaxed in the car. It just looked a bit messy this weekend. I did bump him back up to a 7, and I think one of the reasons I was hovering between the two was I've got a little bit of a bee in my bonnet about the way he behaved in free practice, because there was a couple of incidents where he felt he was impeded, and I'm not saying he wasn't. It was a busy point of free practice. Everybody's coming out. Everybody gets in everybody's way to a greater or lesser degree.
This is the Piastri incident.
Well, first of all, there was the Piastri incident where he felt that Piastri had gotten in his way, which he may well have done. But then as he pulled alongside Piastri, he jerked the car towards him.
Yeah, I think that
bad-temperedly.
I think the rest of it was kind of fine. I think it's fair enough to be like, oh yeah, every driver gets on the radio at some point and goes, traffic's ruined. Yeah, this driver's ruined my lap, that driver's ruined my lap. But
Yeah.
the intentional swerving into Piastri like it was even Piastri's fault. Because if he was at fault, which I think he was, ultimately, Piastri did hold him up. That's the team.
Yeah, exactly.
Piastri has no real control over that.
No. And had that been an isolated incident, I could probably let that go. But then later on, I think it was free practice 2, it could have been 3, not sure. And I know people will roll their eyes when I say it was Stroll that got in the way, because Stroll does have a reputation for it. But Kimi got so irate, not just with Stroll, but with the fact of all of the rest of the traffic. He got very irate on the radio. He was just going on and on and on about it, despite Bono trying to talk him down, till in the end Bono had to be really firm with him and say, I have no control over when the other cars go out, which was a little bit of a polite way of saying, can you shut up whining and just get on with the job? But he's actually got pulled in front of the stewards. I don't know if you know.
No.
He got pulled in front of the stewards because not only did he do what he did to Piastri, but he got in front of Stroll and brake checked him.
Yeah, that's pretty unacceptable.
Yes. So, I've read the FIA, the stewards report, and he actually has admitted to the stewards that he was angry and did it out of frustration. And I can't remember what the penalty was for it. He has got one. And I just think that it's a little bit of immaturity. He's a young, hot-headed young man, and he's been thrust into this limelight of, oh, you're going to win the championship. And so I understand it's all bubbling over, but wind it in. Seriously. So for me, yeah, he could have ended up with a 6. I've decided we'll give him a 7. And really in the race, he showed he had the pace over Russell as well. He was catching Russell. There was going to be an almighty fight there, I think, before his engine popped.
Well, there was. The fight was done. He was past Russell.
Oh, of course he was. Yeah, he was. He was already past Russell. Whether we would have had a bit more back and forth like we did once before, I don't know.
I think we would have.
Yeah. But obviously that was cut short by the power unit going bang. So I'm sorry, I went on at length there about Antonelli a bit.
You've actually helped me because I was struggling between a 7 and an 8. Quite comfortable now sticking with my 7. I'd actually forgotten about the Piastri incident, but I remember seeing the clip of that before the race, and that was pretty grim. I still think the funniest part of that is that Piastri doesn't react at all.
No,
just
very
does
stoic.
not care.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I've written an odd one next to my notes because Kimi looked lost in qualifying. I mean, third doesn't sound like he looked lost, but he didn't out-qualify a Ferrari in what is the rocket ship of a Mercedes, and he didn't out-qualify the Ferrari by a quarter of a second. It wasn't a little bit. It was like notably behind. But then, and obviously on his teammate as well, he qualified in pole, but then really, really had the measure of George in the race. Like, just notably so. It was definitely going to beat George. Probably would have been a bit of back and forth with the overtake modes. I don't know if he gets talked about very much. I think the Mercedes is so hot in overtake mode. Yeah. And the fact, you kind of see that from the evidence of the Canada race that time, where they traded first about 8 laps in a row. Yeah. But yeah, it's just a strange one overall. I think obviously the retirement is no fault of his own,
No,
and he was clearly the better driver in race trim.
I would say in the second, not so much in the first third of the race. I think George had it, but I think latterly, or for sort of 2/3.
Yeah, but it was so significant. Like he took a second a lap out of George at one point in that second stint. Oh, no, actually, yeah, we found out, didn't we, that George's wing was done wrong, wasn't it?
Yes.
So that would have been after that.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know whether to mention that or whether
No,
when we
yeah,
moved on to Russell,
that's
we
just
bring
clicked,
that in.
yeah.
But yeah,
So that does factor in then. So yeah, it doesn't necessarily have such an advantage over George. So yeah, could maybe even see a 6 on this one there.
just drop in and drop in.
Well, it's just mitigating circumstances, isn't it? I thought the 7 for me came because he seemed so in control of the race over George, but obviously there's a lot of factors in that.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously not a weekend that he wanted. A weekend that I wanted because suddenly Lewis is in championship contention with massive quotes around it. But yeah, 7 out of 10. That takes us over to George Russell, who similarly I have given a 7 out of 10 to. The big one in my notes is fortunate.
Oh, that's interesting.
Massive benefit of the Kimi retirement. Pole was his big highlight. Obviously, definitely had the measure of the entire field. Although actually remembering the front wing thing, maybe I could be convinced up to an 8 on this one because he was still somehow sabotaged. It wasn't even his engine that blew up, and somehow he was sabotaged
wrong
again.
word, sabotaged.
How do you ask for please adjust my wing one way and they do it the other?
Yeah. I can see that. I can see why people are saying. I'm careful because we had it last year with the Lando and the Oscar thing. Was somebody being favoured? Blah blah blah. And
no, I don't think it's. I am being hyperbolic when I say that, but it's just notable that I don't think George has really had a team mistake-free race in about 4 or 5 races.
It does raise questions. I'm not dismissing what you're saying. I think it does raise questions.
The Mercedes engine team needs to have a good look because I think engine survivability rates amongst. Well, actually, the Alpines haven't really blown up at any point.
Well, we weren't going to point that out.
Okay, yeah.
So we're not drawing attention to that.
Well, amongst the top 2 teams, Lando's on a 50% rate at this point.
Yeah. Have you seen that graphic about Lando? Where there's a full breakdown of everything that's gone wrong with the car this season.
I can imagine
there is a long list of everything that's gone wrong.
But yeah, the Mercedes engines are sort of spelling trouble for the Mercedes team and McLaren.
And the customer teams, yeah.
Oh,
apart from
there's 2 other customer teams that don't seem to have blown up yet, which is weird.
That's true, yeah.
We're not going to name the other one.
No. But no, we definitely don't want to draw attention to that.
No. Yeah, but anyway, back to George. Yeah, just really hot 1 lap pace, and then the race was a bit odd. Seemed to end up fighting Norris on merit, which is, I don't know if that's a detriment to George or a nod to Norris, but yeah. Somehow they both ended up with the same rating despite having polar opposite weekends, basically. Yeah.
And for Russell, really, I've just put qualified first, finished second. Great start to the weekend because for me, he showed up as I would expect George to show up when he's on his game.
Hold up, listeners! I'm just going to remind her for the 3rd time she's not set a score.
Okay, sorry about that. I get excited. Yeah, I've given Russell an 8 out of 10. Yes, okay. An 8 out of 10. Showed up this weekend more like old George. Definitely in the right mindset. Has definitely decided that he's going to do things his way. He's not relying so much on trying to copy what Kimi's doing in the car. Going to do things his way. Came in full of confidence. Looked great throughout free practice. Stuck it on pole. I thought, we're off. This is it. It's going to be his weekend. He's going to bag this win. And my notes just basically say, great start to the weekend. We're outclassed, outpaced, and outstrategized. And I think that just sums it up a bit. The thing with the wing, I hope he's asking questions because I know I would be. It kind of reminds me a little bit of, you might remember. No, you won't remember. You would be. What it is. Oh no, I'm just trying to figure out if you'd be too small to remember. You would have been, I think.
The
Eddie Irvine, yeah, when Michael had broken his leg.
I don't remember it, but I know it.
Yeah, and if anybody that's listening that doesn't have a clue what I'm waffling about, go and look up. Can I remember what year it was? It was late 90s, wasn't it?
99, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
97 was Villeneuve, 98 was that's...
It was either
fallen
98
apart.
or 99.
Mika.
Yeah, I think it probably
And
was.
then it must have been 99 because...
It was whenever Michael broke his leg, wasn't it? And so Eddie Irvine took over as, main guy at the team, and it looked like Eddie was going to win.
the tyre.
Yeah.
Now they're going to have a committee meeting on it. Stick it on and send him out.
Have a cup of tea while you're at it. Yeah, so basically Eddie came into the pits a few races from the end of the season looking like he was good for the win, and then the pit crew came out with 3 tyres. 3. No real explanation as to where the 4th one was or why they hadn't got it. So yeah, it kind of reminded me of that, of like, how are we making such catastrophic mistakes when it's so important?
There's a lot going on that's sort of telling with Mercedes. Like, have you seen the like press release statement they did on social media or whatever, where they kind of summarized the weekend, and they said, "Oh yeah, this was pretty terrible shame for Kimi, but it's lovely to see Lewis on the win," and just did not mention George at all.
George,
who was second.
Yeah, and up to that point, really, it had an absolute barnstormer of a weekend. Yeah. Something just doesn't quite sit right for me at the minute with Mercedes.
I don't like to scream conspiracy.
No,
but boy, it's painting a picture.
It's definitely like I said, I can see how people get there. Yeah. I can see how people think
I'm sure it looks bad. I could absolutely see the next couple of weekends the Mercedes social media team and Toto Wolff make a real effort to really, really highlight George, because they've seen how this looks. Yeah. And it probably is innocent, but we're starting to get to a point where it's like, really, guys? Yeah.
I think there was something like it last year, wasn't there, with McLaren, that was actually an innocent mistake. It was something to do, I think it was when they clinched the constructors and they took the team picture with Lando, and Piastri wasn't there. So that there was a good reason for it, but it looked really bad. Yeah. So yeah, I think we'll have to see, won't we, see how it all unfolds. Shall we move on then to the Ferraris?
This is the pointy end of the grid.
It's pointy. Really is a tale of two halves, isn't it? Charles Leclerc, well, I've given him a 3 out of 10. And to be honest, I struggle to make it a 3. Qualified 10th because crashed yet again. You can't really say anything other than he's had an absolutely awful weekend, completely off the pace. And then just to put the cherry on the cake, he had a DNF right near the end of the race.
That one was not his fault.
No, I'm not saying that was his fault. The DNF was not his fault. No, that really
was
car related. But yeah, it was the final kick, wasn't it? I don't really know what's going on with Charles at the minute. I do struggle with Leclerc. I know he's very popular. I know a lot of people rate him quite highly. I just feel like for a driver that's been in the sport as long as he has, yes, when he's fast, when he's good and he's on it, he's really, really on it, and he can put in an absolutely amazing qualifying lap 10% of the time. Something's got to give, because 90% of the time he seems to be in the wall, and then we have a flash of brilliance.
I'm itching to have a rant.
Go on then. Have your Leclerc
No, you finish your points.
No, I mean, really, I've got nothing more to say on it other than it frustrates the hell out of me, because he throws everything at it, and sometimes it's not what it needs, and it's like, I want to get him and shake him and say, look, have a rethink the way you do this, rethink the way you're approaching this, because when it works, it's great, but it's not working enough.
Yeah.
So, yeah, have your rant.
Oh, well, it's funny you said that you struggled to make it a 3, because I struggled enough that I gave him a 2.
Oh, okay.
It's really, really telling that he has crashed 3 times in 3 competitive sessions.
Yes.
Because he crashed in Monaco qualifying, crashed in Monaco race, and then he crashed at Barcelona qualifying. He didn't even finish in the race, but you can't exactly blame him for that.
No.
Yeah, I mean, if you're struggling to see what people see, I feel like I'm constantly in a dream world, because I don't get it at all. I've never understood this. The 2 best drivers on the grid are Max Verstappen, correct, and Charles Leclerc. Really?
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. On 1 lap pace, when you put that man in the car and he's feeling it, yeah.
Yeah,
I don't think anybody's ever going to beat prime Leclerc on a qualifying lap.
Agreed.
But like you said, 10% of the time.
Yeah.
And I mean, Christ Martin Brundle said it on commentary after he crashed in qualifying, and said, Leclerc does have quite a few crashes because he's always pushing the limit. It's like, it was almost said out of respect, but it's like,
that's not a good thing.
That's not pushing the limits. It's not understanding them.
Yeah.
He crashes so much. And when he's not crashing, it's, it spins and he's saved it, basically. The number of times that he's spun but not spun it into a wall, but lost himself 3 or 4 places, it's just too much.
Yeah.
He's he's fast when he keeps it on the track, and he just does not keep it on the track enough.
Do you think that this year's regulations have amplified that?
No.
Do you not? Do you feel
to be
it's
brutally honest, I remember reading through some, articles on ratings of the drivers last season, and there was this universal take that Leclerc was the second, rated second best. And I remember watching him at Silverstone last year, and every time the camera cut to him, he was lawn mowing.
Yeah.
He was just cutting through the grass, and it's just like, it's raining, man. Keep it on the tarmac, for God's sake. I get it. People like it, like the fastest drivers, and I do think that Leclerc is damn fast when he's on it. He's just not on it enough.
No.
And he just doesn't seem to accept that his car isn't the fastest.
Yeah.
As stupid as that sounds.
And do you think there's some pressure there as well with his teammate that he didn't have last year?
Yes.
Yeah. I think that's a given, isn't it?
I think it's really, really been highlighted this weekend.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think last year Charles was the better Ferrari driver.
Yeah.
But Lewis was still no slouch. Took him a little bit to learn. But he was...
I think it took a bit for the team to just gel as well around him.
Trust me, I'll get to that one.
Okay.
When we get to Lewis, don't you worry. Lewis has almost had a quiet one this year, in a way, up until now.
Yeah.
You kind of might have blinked and been like, well, how did you end up in second? Oh, yeah, because George has had No, actually, Lewis has had a pretty good one.
Yeah.
You actually look at his results. He's like, his last three results are first, second, second.
Yeah.
That's a championship winning form,
Absolutely.
And to be honest, I've kind of delved off of Leclerc here, but we'll take this as a segue.
Yeah. What's your Hamilton score then?
The Hamilton score.
What can it be?
Do you remember me saying how I couldn't decide between Lando for an 8 or a 9, and then I ultimately decided because I couldn't give him the same score as Lewis Hamilton? I'm giving a 9.
You're giving Lewis a 9?
I'm giving a 9.
What does he have to do to get a 10?
Put it on pole.
Oh, come on.
No, yeah, he was capable of putting it on pole. And I don't know how much this would have mattered, but he was fortunate to not have to do the work at the end of the race with the virtual safety car. I think...
Oh, he would have passed the match without the safety
agree.
car.
No, don't disagree. But we were spoiled of that through no fault of his own. I don't think this really impacts him too much, but we were spoiled of a really good finish to a race.
Yeah.
I'm very strict on 10s for me. I don't think you get a 10.
You're harsh.
Yeah. I don't think you get a 10 unless you really, really outperformed the capabilities of the car. And I think Lewis has outperformed the capabilities of the car, but it wasn't like, a barnstormer.
Right.
He was a little fortunate, capitalised on it well. 9 out of 10 is a great grade. 90% is a great grade. And Lewis has just been on form.
Absolutely.
Again, fortunate. I think he would have been fighting Antonelli at the end had we not had a virtual safety car. I think it would have been close. I mean, he had the absolute legs of George. 20 seconds in the end of the gap was, which really does suggest that had the pit stops worked out normally, he would have been well past George and fighting Antonelli.
Yeah. Well, that's something we actually didn't touch on with Russell as well, is I don't understand why, when it was very, very clear Lewis had started on the softs and it was very, very clear he was going for a 3-stop strategy, and George still had life left in his tyres because he was on the mediums in that first stint. Why did they pit him at the same time? George didn't want to come in then.
It wasn't... I have no... You're absolutely right on the Mercedes pit stop. Yeah, I don't understand following it when they know they're doing a different strategy, but it wasn't Lewis's. They were on plan C.
Oh. Okay.
The 3-stop, brace yourself for this one. Ferrari strategy worked.
Yeah, see, that's a concept I'm still struggling with. Felt like I drifted into the twilight zone briefly this weekend.
They identified a possible advantage and executed it. Congrats, guys. I think we mentioned this before. This is really something we could talk about as well, is how Ferrari has sort of turned the logistics side around.
Yeah.
Lewis's current engineer is a godsend.
Carlos Santi.
Thank you. Compared to Adami,
yeah. That was not a relationship that was ever going to work.
Not the first driver to point that one out. Not the first driver to complain about that specific engineer. But did you hear the excitement in that guy's voice when he told Lewis he was in the lead? Yeah, he just wanted that, and Lewis needs that. Yeah, Lewis is always, we got sick of hearing it for years at a time, but Lewis would cross the line and Bono would go, "Get in there, Lewis." It's just, but.
But you
Lewis
want
is
that.
hype man.
Yeah, you want that.
No, not always. Not some drivers don't. Lewis Lewis wants.
Yeah,
that.
but as viewers, we want that. Is what I meant. That's
Yeah,
great for
but-
us watching, isn't it?
Like GP is never going to come on at the end of a race to Max Verstappen and go, "Get in there, Max."
No, it's
'Cause
not.
Max,
It's very reserved, isn't it? It's very well done, Max. Well executed. Brilliant race.
But that's what Max wants.
Yeah, because that's how we
Max
operate.
likes the bickering.
Yeah, he likes a bit of a whinge, doesn't he, now and again? No offence, Max.
But he also knows he doesn't like it at the time, but he also knows that GP will rein him in.
Yeah.
Because GP is damn good at that.
Yeah, he is actually. He's got the balance.
And that's like the exact opposite is that what Lewis needs, it's so telling. What was it? I can't remember exactly what it was, but I think Lewis went, "What lap times do I need to do?" And his engineer just went 20.9.
Yeah.
Not,
we are checking.
Yeah, not we are checking, not we'll get back to you.
Mm.
Lewis went,
Ready
"What
with
is
the
this?"
answer.
It's this.
Yeah.
And there was a point where he started, I think he came over the radio with more information. Lewis went, "No, I just need to concentrate." And that was it.
Yeah, and he quietened. Yeah.
They're gelling so much better.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I really think that's helping Lewis.
Yeah. I mean, I did in the review give Ferrari the flattering ram for the week, and as you know, historically, never been a Ferrari fan, never been one.
You were not a Ferrari fan in the 90s and 2000s.
Yeah, I found the way that they went racing to be not to my
But we're in
taste.
a very different era.
We're in a very different
company.
Yeah, we are definitely. So yeah, they got my flattering ram because I was like, yes, we did it.
Your Lewis score?
My Lewis score. Well, I don't care what you say. I've given him 10 out of 10.
I don't hate it.
No.
I'm very picky.
You must be very picky. Yeah, he didn't get pole, but in some ways, I think that's worth more because you've not got pole and kept it. You've had to go out there and you've earned the place. And I've just put qualified second, finish first. What else is there to say? Excellent. It was just amazing to see. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was a bit squeaky bum time, really, wasn't it, the last few laps? Because we were like, please don't let anything go wrong. Please don't let anything go wrong.
Leclerc's car crawls to a stop. It's like, oh no.
Anyway, quick, back to what Hamilton's doing. So, yeah, I think there was big relief, really. The timing of the safety car was absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
Because
they almost messed up the strategy, actually, to be the one discredit of the Ferrari, because he had the opportunity to pit when the VSC went and he didn't, and he did a full lap before.
But
it ended up working out for him.
Yeah.
But it was entirely possible that they pulled him into the pits and then the VSC went away, and that would have screwed him.
But the reason why that happened was he had just passed the pit entry when the VSC came up. It wasn't a strategic decision. It was just purely unfortunate.
I thought he was further back than that.
But it actually worked out perfectly.
Yeah.
So,
because he literally crossed the exit of the pit lane and went, the VSC's
gone. Yeah, so, yeah, I can't fault him. I think it was absolutely brilliant. I think the team did absolutely brilliantly. Like you said, Carlos Santi, I think, is absolutely fantastic. He's got the balance just right.
Have you heard that they're keeping him?
Oh, they're actually keeping him because he was supposed to leave, wasn't he, halfway through the season?
I don't know if it officially said they're keeping him, but that he is there indefinitely.
Yeah, I
think
did
it's
hear...
just about as good.
Yeah, hopefully. Just like don't move.
I mean, if nothing else, his public persona's shot up because everybody rates him. Yeah, even if you're not Lewis at this point.
I did hear that the other guy, whose name has escaped me right now, that was
old one.
The one that was coming in to replace Santi from after the summer break. Apparently, he is still joining the team, but they're allegedly, so I've heard, they're now giving him something else to do. They're not messing with the formula because the formula works at the minute. So yeah. I just think it was brilliant to see. It was great to see him have that emotion and to know that he's still got it. And it's great for us because he's second in the championship. And my perfect thing now is obviously we've got Kimi is in there, we've got Lewis is in there, we've got George is still in there with a chance. Now we just need a Max Verstappen resurgence like we got last year. So we have a 4-way fight, and that's
cinema. And then a McLaren resurgence.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'd love to see Norris. I predicted Norris to take another world championship, so I'd love to see Norris getting there. Yeah, that's my fault. Sorry, Lando. But yeah, that would be brilliant. But yeah, it's definitely shaping up to be a really, really good season.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't looking great. It's amazing how much the Antonelli as awful as it is to say, the Antonelli retirement has made this. I mean, we're still a little bit away from interesting. I think he's still got a 48-point lead over Hamilton, like the 2 full race wins.
I think it's 48. It's 40 something, but yeah, you could be right. It could be 40.
It's enough that he's not going to swing it in one race by any means.
Oh no, absolutely. But,
yeah, I mean, what a story for the grid in a way, because you've got the absolute young blood of the grid going against the
royalty,
the second oldest driver on the grid.
Yeah, and that I think is where because I've said right from the get-go on this little roll that Antonelli's been on, that sooner or later that will catch up with him, that the lack of experience and that bit of hot-headedness, whereas Lewis has got the experience and he is calm, and I think that's where Lewis could take points away from him.
I think, well, I mean, at the moment, the Lewis's advantage is for certain is consistency.
Absolutely.
You actually look at his finishing results. I think he's been top 5 in every race, something like that.
Yeah.
And they say his last 3 races, second, first.
Yeah, absolutely. He's kind of become the George Russell of last year, hasn't he?
Does nothing P2.
Well, except Hamill doesn't do nothing, but yeah, he's kind of always there and thereabouts.
Yeah, it's just he's there to mop up when one of the Mercedes goes bang. And every race, one of the Mercedes goes bang. So,
yeah, usually George, but other way around this time. So yeah, I guess we'll have to see what happens. We have got Red Bull Ring next.
Are we bothering to pick our best driver of the day, or are we just agreeing on Hamilton? Because who the hell else could it be?
Well, yeah, there is that. So should we have? Well, we'll both agree that Hamilton's our driver of the day. Who would you like as an honourable mention?
Oh, I really can only pick between Hülkenberg. Actually, I was going to say only pick between and then say 3 drivers, but it's either going to be Hülkenberg, Lando, or Liam Lawson. I think I'm going to have to go Lando because he's just extracting. He's about the only driver on the grid that I can see you're actually doing more than what your car's capable of, I think. Yeah.
With maybe Gasly.
Oh, yeah, that's true, yeah.
Nipping at his heels.
Yeah, actually, I suppose you could actually mention Gasly for this one as well.
Yeah.
His qualifying probably marks him down, whereas the other 3 had.
Yeah, I'd better.
It's a shame, actually, Nico didn't finish, because I think it would be quite easy to go, Hülkenberg, if he'd have finished, unfortunately.
Yeah, definitely. No, I think I have to be fully in agreement with you there, and my honourable mention would have to be Lando Norris, because, as I say, skill-wise, racing-wise, he's not putting a foot wrong, and he's really putting the car places that, like you say, he's
actually maximising.
Yeah, absolutely. I say driving his socks off at the minute. I think he's doing really well.
I've changed my mind. I'm going to say Sergio.
No, you're not. Fake. No. Yes, I know you're very much enjoying the fact that Perez is beating Bottas. Well,
yep.
Yeah, I don't think there's much hope of that. I don't think there's much hope of that turning around anytime soon.
I would just need that man to stop picking up every penalty under the sun in every race, and he might get a point.
Yeah, well, yeah, he did lose that point, didn't he, because of the penalty? That was a real shame. But onward and upward. Let's see what Red Bull Ring brings.
I'm looking forward to it.
Me too. Well, thank you so much for joining me to do driver ratings. I've had a blast.
This has been fun.
I've really enjoyed it, and I hope you guys have all enjoyed listening. Don't forget to give us a like and a follow on social media. Our links are in the show notes. And if you could give us a review on whichever podcast platform you use to listen to the podcast, that would be absolutely brilliant, especially if you say nice things. Also, if you'd like to check out Cameron's Twitch, you can find him at twitch.tv/Amoeba UK. And again, the links to that will be in the show notes. I'll be back on Thursday, the 25th of June, with a preview of the Austrian Grand Prix. And until then, look after yourselves, take care, don't work too hard, and don't forget the cheesy tagline. That tracks F1 podcast. Track the action. Join the fun. Bye.